Fear isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet breath in the dark, the creak in the hallway when no one's home, the sick feeling you're being watched, and the cold truth that whatever's watching is still there when you look. Fear lives in silence, and in some homes, it doesn't whisper, it hunts. For one mother, fear wasn't a feeling, it was a presence. It broke through her walls, and it made itself at home. She didn't ask for this, she didn't deserve it, but it found her anyway. What you're about to see really happened. It's one of the most well-documented paranormal cases in American history, captured in real time through photos, video, and audio recordings. And every moment led to something darker. A single mother, a haunted house, and a spirit that just didn't scare, it stalked. Not every haunting ends with a priest and a prayer. Sometimes it ends with blood on the walls and a mother screaming into the dark. Welcome to Project Strangeville. Our story begins in San Pedro, California. Not a big city, not flashy, just a quiet port town with salty air, sun-faded houses, and people trying to make life work. For Jackie Hernandez, that was enough. She had a young son, was pregnant with her second child, and just needed a place to breathe. Boxes still unpacked, a crib tucked by the windows, that soft silence that makes you think, maybe this time things will be different. It wasn't perfect, but it felt like a fresh start, and for a little while, it actually was. Jackie Hernandez, a single mother, pregnant with her second child, was looking for a fresh start, a quiet place, a safe place to begin again. She didn't have a lot of money, but she found a quaint little bungalow in a quiet neighborhood in San Pedro, California. It was small, but cozy, and most of all, affordable. The house creaked at night, the lights flickered, and the attic gave her chills, but Jackie figured it was just an old house, until she saw something that would change her life forever. At first, it was little things, objects falling off shelves, stuff moving when no one was around, easy to shrug off. Weird, yeah, but explainable, until one day it wasn't, and everything changed. Jackie was doing chores when she caught it, just a flicker at first, a dark shape gliding silently down the hallway and into her children's room. Not a shadow, something heavier, like the air twisted around it. She crept forward, heart pounding, hands shaking. She reached the doorway and froze. There, on the bottom bunk, sat a translucent old man, pale, glowing faintly, wearing a flannel shirt and mechanic's pants. A ghost. He didn't move, he just stared. And Jackie, she was paralyzed by fear.
Every time I've seen him, he's always been cross-legged. He's got a grayish, he looks like he's a corpse. It looks like a corpse. And he's got a grayish tone to him, and he's wearing a red flannel shirt, and his shirt is tucked in, his pants are high waters, and they're like the old gas attendant's pants.
This was only the beginning. The entity was done hiding, and now it wanted witnesses. A few days later, Jackie's friend, Susan Castaneda, came by to check in. The two women sat in the kitchen, Jackie recounting the ghost she saw sitting on her kid's bed, when suddenly, a large picture frame, nearly 3 feet wide, ripped off the wall. It flew across the room and slammed into the counter beside them. No wind, no warning, no reason. The entity was getting bolder. It wasn't hiding anymore, and it didn't care who saw it. Susan had seen what it could do, and soon, someone else would too. As for Jackie, she wanted to run, but where would she go? She had no money, no backup plan, just a baby on the way, a young son, and a leash she couldn't break. So she stayed, terrified and stuck. Jackie's friend Darlene was staying the night to watch the kids while Jackie was out of town. At first, everything was quiet and normal, but then something changed. The air felt wrong, heavy, still, like something was watching. Then, a voice. Low, cold, direct. The entity didn't want her there, and it made that very clear.
When I looked in from the living room to the bedroom, it looked like it was so far away, and then I heard a voice saying, "Don't come in here." He was real spooky, real scary. It made me feel like it would be violent if I did.
Weeks passed, and then Jackie noticed something strange. Water pooled at the base of the dining room wall, the wall that separated it from the kitchen. No pipes ran through there, no leaks, no plumbing. She followed the trail upward, and she found a steady stream of water flowing from behind the light switch. Out of nowhere, out of nothing. Jackie checked the ceiling, the drywall, the space behind the wall, nothing. Then she heard it, a hum, low, mechanical, and wrong. The sound was coming from the laundry nook, directly above the washing machine. It was in the attic. Jackie climbed up, slid the attic panel open, and she looked inside. Just shadows, dust, and a silence that didn't feel empty. It felt alert. Then she felt it. Behind her. Something watching. She turned and froze. Ahead. Just ahead. Floating in midair. Charging towards her. Jackie dropped down in a panic. Heart pounding. She didn't sleep that night.
I felt something behind me, so I kind of I turned real quick, and as I turned, there was a head, and it was just a head, and it was coming for me.
She didn't feel safe in her own home, not even for a second. And worse, no one else was around to see it, to believe her. Jackie was starting to question her own sanity. She didn't want to ask for help, but she was out of options, and deep down, she just needed someone to believe in her. The next morning, she picked up the phone and called Susan, and that call would change everything. Susan had seen enough. After her own terrifying encounter at Jackie's home, she became the second person to witness the activity firsthand, but it didn't end there. The entity followed her home.
And I smelled it. I experienced it. I felt it. It touched me. It talked to me. It communicated to me. It did things here at my house to let me know that it was there.
Lights flickered. Strange noises echoed throughout her apartment, and the feeling, that same heavy, choking dread, never left. That's when Jackie decided to call for help. Susan had seen a man on TV, a paranormal investigator. She told Jackie to call. Dr. Barry Taff wasn't your average ghost hunter. He was a parapsychologist, a scientist, a veteran of more than 2,500 paranormal investigations, including one that inspired the film The Entity. He agreed to visit Jackie's house, and he didn't come alone. Barry Conrad, an Emmy-winning photojournalist, brought his gear, and with them came Jeff Wheatcraft, a photographer and a former school teacher. Jeff wasn't a believer, not in ghosts, not in poltergeists, but he wanted a few photos of the attic just in case. He climbed onto the washing machine, pushed open the attic panel, and crawled in. Dust, darkness, stillness. Then that feeling, the one everyone talks about but can't quite explain, like something was watching him from the shadows. Suddenly, his camera was ripped from his hands, yanked, gone. Jeff dropped out of the attic in a panic. A few moments later, he gathered himself, climbed back up, but this time, he didn't go in. He just peeked inside with a flashlight. What he saw made no sense. The lens of his camera was on the end of the attic, the body of the camera on the other, both placed upright, carefully, intentionally. Something or someone had dismantled it on purpose. Barry wanted that on video, so he and Jeff returned, this time with Barry's camera and a 1,000-watt light. But the moment they stepped into the attic, Barry's camera would die. No power. They tried again. Same thing. Then it got physical. While standing in the attic, pondering why the camera wouldn't work, Jeff lurched forward. Confused, Barry shouted, "What are you doing?" Jeff turned, pale, shaken. Then another hit, and another, but this time much harder. He clutched the beam to steady himself. That was it. They got out. Whatever was in the attic didn't want company.
And I felt this force pushing my back, like a huge hand just pushing my back.
From that night on, the activity spread. It wasn't just in the attic anymore. It was in the walls, in the air, and you could feel it. Doors slammed shut for no reasons. Toys moved on their own. Books flew across the room. Jackie was exhausted. The house no longer felt like a home. It felt like something else's territory.
What happened? It's something grabbed that out of my hand. I'm not kidding. Somebody grabbed the whole thing out of my hand. Just now. It grabbed the whole thing out of my hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hear it? Hear it?
He's walking back and forth up there.
It is walking, definitely.
Yes.
Quiet, everyone. Shh, quiet.
There has been noises in this room that come from right in the center, right here.
Go ahead and talk.
That's where the noises come from. Sometimes there's a noise like a deep hum, and it's coming from right here in midair. It's coming from right in the center.
So you've heard noises in this room?
Oh yeah, deep humming. It comes from right here, right in the center of the room. And there's nothing here.
They found something that no one expected. Blood. It oozed from the cabinets, pooled in the corners, thick, red, metallic. Dr. Taff collected samples, unsure if this was a hoax or a hazard. The lab confirmed the impossible. Human blood plasma, and not just any blood. It came from a male donor. No one knew where it came from. Even Taff was speechless. Like that. Something else started happening during the chaos. Something quiet. Barry wasn't just a cameraman anymore. He saw how much Jackie was holding together and how close she was to breaking. Over time, their bond deepened. And yes, there was a romance. Barry stayed overnight on more than one occasion, sometimes just to keep watch and sometimes just to be there. We don't know how long it lasted or how serious it was, but for a woman under siege, Barry wasn't just documenting the haunting. He was one of the few people that were by her side.
Right now I'm feeling totally drained, totally tired, and totally on edge, and I feel like going up there and killing it again. I'm about to snap on it. And then it'll probably snap back.
Then came the night that broke her. The entity lashed out, hard. Objects flew. Phones rang and then fell silent. Jackie was frantic, trying to call for help. Barry, Jeff, and the rest of the crew rushed to the house. They unpacked fast, eager to catch it all on tape. But Jackie wasn't thinking about footage. She was thinking about survival. While Barry and Jeff ran inside, Jackie stayed behind, frozen, anxious, waiting on the patio. And what happened next would nearly cost a man's life. Jackie called Barry for help, and when he arrived, he ran inside with his crew to capture what was happening. She understood why, but in that moment, she didn't care about cameras. She didn't care about documentation. She just wanted to get her kids out. That house wasn't haunted anymore. It was hostile, and now it was personal. Jeff climbed into the attic, just like before, but this time, something was waiting. He screamed. Barry rushed in and found Jeff hanging by his neck, attached to the rafter. Jeff gasped for air. His face was pale, eyes wild. Barry jumped into the attic to free Jeff and save his life. The energy in that attic, whatever it was escalating. But it didn't stop there.
What's behind your neck?
I don't know what's on my neck.
It's like a noose.
Come on down.
A piece of rope.
Oh, shit.
Gary, get down out of there, buddy.
Can you find my glasses?
Gary, Jeff,
Look at this.
Jeff, turn the camera.
Jeff, are you okay?
Jeff,
I'm fine.
Jeff, tell me what happened, buddy.
Well, I don't know, Gary. I told Gary that there was nothing happening up there, and he turned around and came. He was coming this way. All of a sudden, I feel this thing around my neck, and it's got me hanging, and it's pulling on my leg.
You were hanging?
Yeah, I was hanging. Gary had to bring me down.
When Jackie went back onto the patio, she saw the mark, a red streak across her infant's forehead. Something had marked her baby.
Come on, you guys, let's go. Please, let's go. Please, let's go. Please, what happened to her? Oh my God.
That was the final line. She could take the cold spots, the shadows, even the attic, but not this, not her kids. Jackie packed fast, threw clothes into bags, scooped up the baby, held her son close, and ran. She left San Pedro behind, moved north to a quiet stretch of land in Weldon, California. No attic, no basement, just open space and hope. At first, it seemed like she'd outrun it. The lights stayed on, the air didn't feel heavy. She started to believe maybe it was over. But the peace didn't last. One afternoon, Jackie was home with a friend when something moved, a dark figure gliding across the hallway. They both saw it, and then the smell. Smoke. They rushed to the children's bedroom and found the bedspread on fire. No one had been in the room, no lighters, no explanation. They put the flames out and ran. Days later, the knocking returned from inside the baby's room, like fists pounding to be let out. Jackie knew that sound. The haunting hadn't ended. It had just changed addresses. Then came Friday the 13th. Her neighbors, James and Janice Silcott, stopped by to help move a large TV from her shed. Janice froze mid-lift, then screamed, "There's a face on the TV." James checked it himself. Nothing. Then, everything. The face was there. Old, menacing, watching. The TV? Unplugged, cold. It didn't matter. Whatever followed Jackie had made itself at home.
And when we uncovered it and moved it away from the side of the building, my wife was on the other side of the TV helping me push, and she said, "There's a face in there." And she was all animated, and I was directly opposite from her, and I saw it from a different angle, and I said, "No, it's dirt," and I reached over to wipe it off, and then I saw the face.
Jackie thought she was free, that Weldon would be a reset, but it found her again. The marks, the fires, the fear, and now it wasn't just attacking her, it was targeting everyone around her. She was tired, she was scared, and she was done pretending this was something she could handle alone. So she called Barry, not for evidence, but for help. Jackie had reached a breaking point. The entity hadn't just followed her to Weldon, it was tormenting her. No sleep, no peace, and every visitor was experiencing something strange. She picked up the phone and called Barry. Barry and Jeff made the long drive north, arriving just after midnight. Jackie was waiting outside with a few concerned neighbors. She was relieved to see them, but terrified at what might happen next.
What am I gonna do, Barry? I can't stay here. I can't stay home tonight.
Anybody can come over?
Huh?
Anybody can come over?
Everybody's out. I'm looking around. All the lights are out. Everybody's out.
You alright?
I'm so scared and I don't even know why.
Do you feel something?
Yes.
They wasted no time. The crew grabbed their gear and began filming the shed, the house, and even a few neighbor interviews. Eventually, The night quieted. Everyone left except Tina. A close friend of Jackie's, she had planned to spend the night anyway. Inside, the house was cold. So cold, in fact, they lit a fire just to take the edge off. They were sitting in the living room, waiting, hoping the entity might show itself, when someone made a suggestion. A Ouija board. One of Jackie's neighbors had dropped it off earlier that day. It was just a game, a board with letters and a little pointer, but its purpose was communication. Talk to the dead. They set up a small table in the center of the room, turned out the lights, and lit a few candles. No one really expected anything to happen. They weren't trying to summon demons. They were just curious. Maybe even humoring Jackie a little. Hands went on the planchette, eyes closed, and they asked, "Is anyone here with us?" At first, nothing. Then, the table began to tremble. A low vibration at first, then a full shake. The flames flickered wildly, shrinking, then flaring tall. The group struggled to keep their hands on the board. Something was moving it, fast. So fast, they could barely keep up. Someone grabbed a pen and paper and began writing down the letters, one after the other, spelling out full, coherent sentences. No errors, no gibberish. This wasn't random. They asked, "Who are you?" It answered, "I was murdered in San Pedro Bay, 1930, drowned." They asked, "How many ghosts live among the living?" It replied, "Phantoms fill the skies around you." Jeff leaned forward. "Why are you focusing on me?" The planchette slid hard and fast. "Because you are the likeness of my killer." Barry asked if there was anyone in the room it hated. The board responded, "Jeff." And that's when it happened.
Jeff was picked up, the chair and everything was levitated off the ground and slammed against the wall.
Tina screamed. She ran outside, convinced she'd be next.
When I saw Jeff go flying back against that wall, I thought that it was going to attack one of us next. So I screamed, and I went running out as fast as I could.
Jackie rushed to her son, still asleep on the couch. She grabbed him, ran outside, and handed him to Tina. She turned to go back in for their baby, but she couldn't. She froze, paralyzed by fear, unable to move. The thing that had just thrown a grown man across the room was still inside. One of Barry's crew members darted in, grabbed the baby, and carried her to safety. They all stayed outside until sunrise. Jackie wanted to believe this thing had limits. That it followed her, yes, but that it couldn't hurt her if others were around. That night, it proved her wrong. Didn't care who you were, didn't care what you believed. Anyone in that house was fair game. And for Jackie, the fear shifted. It wasn't just hunting her anymore. It was hunting the people she loved. The spirit had made a claim. It said it was murdered, drowned in San Pedro Bay in 1930. Barry couldn't shake it. He needed answers. So he went digging. Straight to the archives of the San Pedro News Pilot. Row after row of microfilm. Dusty, faded, almost forgotten. Until he found it. Headline: Find Body of Young Seaman Under Wharf. The name was Herman Henrickson, a seaman found floating near the 22nd Street landing. The article said his body showed signs of foul play, most notably a compound fracture to the skull. But no suspects, no witnesses, and no follow-up. With nothing to go on, his death was ruled an accident. No charges, no justice. Herman had worked aboard a longboat steamer called the Astoria. That name stuck with Barry, but so did something else. He remembered the cord, the one they found wrapped around Jeff's neck in the attic. So Barry took a photo of it to a local fisherman, a man who'd spent most of his life on the water. The fisherman took one glance and said without hesitation, "That's a bowline knot, an old sailor's knot, reliable, durable, used for centuries on ships around the world." He said whoever tied that had seawater in his blood. Could it be Herman? A sailor? Murdered? Forgotten? Now, bound to a place where no one listened until Jackie moved in. Barry wasn't sure, but the signs were adding up, and the entity was still very much alive. By June of 1990, Jackie had nothing left. The attacks, the fear, the exhaustion of never knowing when it could strike again, it wore her down to the bone. So she moved, again, this time back to San Pedro. A small, modest apartment, no attic, no shadows, and the very first thing she did was call a priest. She begged for a blessing, anything to keep the darkness out. But it didn't matter. The moment she walked in, she felt it. The cold pressure in the air, like the walls themselves were holding their breath. The lamp above her bed would swing back and forth, even with no breeze. The glowing orbs returned. Whatever this thing was, it had followed her, and it wasn't just after Jackie. Now, it was after Barry and Jeff, too. Just a few weeks later, after a long day of filming, Barry and Jeff returned to Barry's apartment. The second they opened the door, they smelled gas. One of the burners on the stove was turned on. Neither of them had used it. They turned it off, only for it to click back on again. That's when they started looking around. 2 pair of scissors opened into X's, hidden beneath Barry's pillows. A cordless phone balanced on top of a lampshade. Photos, crooked, tilted in ways they hadn't been before. A coffee jar turned upside down. Refrigerator jars flipped and balanced on their lids. And the scissors kept showing up in rooms they weren't placed in. It was like the entity was playing, taunting them. They'd leave one room, only to come back and find it changed. Then came the window, shattered. They cleaned it up, tossed the glass in the dumpster. But the next morning, a jagged piece of that same glass was sitting upright on Barry's typewriter, like a warning. Jackie thought a new place might mean a new beginning, but no matter where she went, it followed. It watched, and it escalated. And now, it was hunting the people trying to help her. Barry, Jeff, even the camera crew. There was no more safe places. Not for her, not for anyone. Months later, they returned from a Christmas party shoot in Beverly Hills, walked through the front door, and stopped cold. A steak knife was embedded in the floor, right in front of the stove. So they kept up the experiment. They placed a pen in an envelope on the burner, then left the room. Minutes later, smoke.
Barry, get this.
Oh, shit!
Look at this. It moved the paper on top of it. It's now burning the paper. It's lit the burners, and it's burned the paper.
The burner was on, the envelope on fire. And then, on the camera lens, a marker drawing. Smudged symbols, nothing legible, just madness. That same night, Barry's cameraman, Gary, saw something through the lens, a glowing orb floating towards Jeff. Before he could hit record, it slammed into Jeff's chest. Jeff was lifted off his feet and thrown into a wall between 2 bookshelves. He said it felt like 2 hands grabbed him and launched him. Then, like it always did, the sun came up, and the chaos finally stopped. It's been more than 30 years since Jackie Hernandez fled that little bungalow in San Pedro. 3 decades since the voices, the attacks, the blood. But the people who were there, the ones who saw it, they still remember. Jackie left California not long after. She moved somewhere quieter, far from the cameras, far from the past. No interviews, no documentaries, no more explaining. She doesn't talk about it anymore. Not because she doubts it, but because she knows it happened. Every moment, every scream, every scar. As for Barry and Jeff, they kept investigating. Hundreds of cases followed, but none like this. An invisible force that attacked, stalked, whispered, bled, and screamed. It tore through a home. It scarred a mother, and it never gave a reason why. No priest stopped it. No ritual closed the door. There were no answers, no closure, just silence. Eventually, it stopped. But that doesn't mean it's gone. Because poltergeists, they don't die. They don't move on, and they don't forgive. They wait. Maybe it's still there, in the attic, in the shadows, in the silence, waiting for someone new to move in.
Today, there's hardly any phenomenon. I'm not afraid anymore. In hindsight, I can say it now where I couldn't say it when I was going through it, but I almost feel fortunate to have had the opportunity to see the other side, although there's a lot that I would have preferred not to have seen. But it was an experience that not too many people get to go through, and even though I didn't want to at the time and I was terrified, I feel fortunate to have experienced the things that I've experienced.
If you want more stories they don't tell on the evening news, please give us a like and subscribe, because the next nightmare might already be waiting. And what you just saw wasn't fiction. It was one of the most violent, well-documented hauntings in American history. A mother, 2 kids, and a house that fought back. We're Project Strangeville, and here, sometime, truth bleeds.